all right. What is up, everybody? It's a Monday evening. It's High Republic time again. It's officially High Republic Week here at Utini, and we are celebrating by chatting all about the High Republic Phase 2. Tonight, we're going to be previewing all the titles that we know about in the book world that are coming up. We got a great crew. We got a great show. I haven't said this in a while, but Emma, punch it! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Living Force at Utini Network podcast, all about the High Republic, at least this evening, and a little bit every week. I'm one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson, and joining me to preview all of Phase 2 that's coming up is a full cast of characters, starting off with the guy who's got a driver's seat in his camera, is Dr. Corey Helton. Welcome.
Hello. This looks like a person in my shot a little bit.
A little bit.
This is a Mini Cooper, front seat from a crashed Mini Cooper. I'm building a racing sim. You can't really see it in the shot. I don't want to move my camera because I'll screw it all up. But I'm building a racing simulator. This is my newest hobby. As you know, I go through hobbies faster than Wes can go through women.
Yeah. Wow. He ain't here, so sure.
I don't know why that just came to me, and I'm not sure why I threw Wes under the bus. But anyway, yeah, I'll put a video in our Discord or something maybe later of me fiddling with this. So yeah.
Yeah, you've been working on that a long time. And I'm excited to see folks. Yeah, stay tuned for more sim racing. Utini Living Force always surprises you. You never know what you're gonna get.
That's right.
Except with Mr. Consistency himself. He's got the beanie, he's got the camera angle, and he's got the charm. It's Dr. Charles Henkel. Hey, buddy.
All of my Star Wars knowledge is actually attached to this beanie. If I wasn't wearing this, I wouldn't know anything. Also, thanks for helping me figure out what happened to the seat in my Mini Cooper, Corey. I was real pissed this weekend.
I cannot see Charles driving a Mini Cooper in any life.
Mostly because you're like 8'2". You wouldn't fit in a Mini Cooper.
I could never betray Subaru at this point. Subi gang for life.
Well, I'm glad that you finally figured out whose name to put on the police report. But the final name for us tonight is the last member of our crew, our producer for the night, the Megan the Stallion of Utini herself. It's Emma Park. Welcome.
Oh, that was
I've never done that. Like,
shocking.
I've never vocalized that very.
Yeah,
that was very good.
Shocking even to
Very
me.
good.
Hi everyone.
Very good. Hello.
Yeah,
Welcome.
everybody go watch SNL. Megan Thee Stallion killed it. Yeah, doing good. So happy to be here again. I finally got new batteries for my lights in these bookshelves. They were like sitting in my basement for a year and they were dead. So I went to Walmart today and I bought 40 AAA batteries. It was really exciting.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
They're hard to charge. All of mine in the back cost 3 AA's a piece. So I actually finally did the thing where I went on Amazon and I bought like a 24 pack of rechargeable AA's.
That's
so
what
I'm
I should have
hoping.
done.
Yeah, but you know what? What has the environment ever done for you, right? Like, screw them.
Exactly. And
I
you know
get
what? Walmart only sold rechargeable batteries in like a pack of 4 for like $15. You could get like a 24 pack for like $12. And I was like, I mean, the environment will forgive a broke college student, right? Like.
Yeah, no, it is the broke college students that are really causing the downturn in the environment, not
exactly.
Anyway, different show. But everyone, welcome tonight. Whether you're a broke college student or a billionaire mogul that doesn't care about their greenhouse gas emissions, we're glad you're here tonight on The Living Force. We're talking all about the High Republic Phase 2. And we hope you all are honestly enjoying it so far, because as we're recording, the first book in the initiative is out, which is Path of Deceit by Justina Ireland and Tessa Grattan. Our review is up on utini.com for a written review, and of course a video review is on this very YouTube channel. If you want to hear what we thought, our community has been loving this book, but we'll get to that a little bit more in a bit. Before we get there, we wanted to give a couple of announcements. First of all, last year we held our annual Utini Awards, which are in planning for coming back this year. Stay tuned. But we had an Author of the Year. It was Kevin Scott. How great was that? Oh, it was lovely. We gave Kevin the award for Author of the Year, and for the first time ever, we commissioned a Utini trophy, and it was brilliant. Eric, wait a minute. Weren't the Utinis last December? Why are you talking about it in this October? Well, disembodied voice, Kevin did not receive that trophy until this week. Emma, show the great folks our Author of the Year holding his Utini award.
Look at this
It
man.
finally made it to
Love it.
England.
You know, the
Wow,
worst,
that
you know, the
took a
worst
while.
part, it was quite the saga. And even now, once he finally has it, he still had to buy this from the English
We screwed
government.
up customs, Kevin.
Yeah.
We're so sorry. Marked correctly.
Kevin told us on Twitter that even after all of this shit show that it was to get this thing to him, he had to pay like $50 to
Oh.
customs because we listed the value too high. And oh man, this has just been the most embarrassing Utini saga in history.
Yep, but it's there.
We-
I hope he
you
treasures
got
it
it.
forever.
I
All
hope
I have
so.
to say is that Kevin also doesn't drive a Mini Cooper because he's making that trophy look so tiny.
Oh yeah, that's easily an 18-inch trophy. I mean,
Oh, man.
it's a giant.
It's
Listen, at this
an
point-
Oscar
at this
than
point,
a
we-
Liberator, you know?
That's right.
Yeah.
At this point, we way overhyped it. It's just plastic, and he had to pay for it. It wasn't a good thing.
You know what?
we
Like,
should have done better.
Listen,
How
as
could we have
somebody that-
known? The government was going to screw it up so bad, though.
Listen,
I blame King Charles now. I think if the Queen had been alive when that had arrived, I think it would
I
have been
think
fine.
you're right.
I think
I
it's
think
the
you're right.
Royal Mail
Listen,
and
I mean,
Brexit.
and all that.
Corey,
Yeah,
I think
Brexit.
you're underhyping the Utini. You know, it is actually, you know, unbeknownst to you, it is actually a brick of solid gold. I know because I have the
Yeah.
only other one
That's
in
true.
existence.
That's right.
So
That's
it
fair.
weighs like 20 pounds, and it's
Wow.
highly valuable. It's at a pawn shop somewhere here in Maine.
So if you're in Maine, go buy your own Utini that Emma had to pawn for textbooks. Well, Kevin, we're glad you received it. We have learned so many things. And again, stay tuned for the Utini Awards 2022, folks. Voting is going to come at some point here soon. Also, I know we talk about the High Republic a lot, but it is officially the start of High Repub Week here at Utini. And why that's a big deal is that not only are we talking about the High Republic ourselves, but our friends on Legends Freaking Look Back are talking High Republic this week. And for those of you that don't usually watch Legends Look Back or listen to them, one, you should. It's a great show. Two, they don't talk about canon. Very specifically, Freddie on the show has literally never read a canon book in his life.
It's pretty
I
mind blowing.
believe,
To be
guys,
honest.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's reading Light of the Jedi for
I
this
know,
week.
he
it's
is.
incredible.
And he likes it too. He says that
Yes.
he said in Slack earlier this week that this is very, very different than Legends, is what he said, which is interesting to get that perspective from Freddie.
Direct quote.
Because, yeah.
Yeah, so definitely check them out this Thursday, or again on any podcast catcher. If you're listening to us on audio, check out Legends Look Back for all their episodes. But this one, I just can't wait to see what they're going to do. And of course, our friends over on Star Wars Archives are giving all of our patrons at utini.com/Patreon a bonus this Sunday with their High Republic episode. And if you know anything about the chaos that is Trev and Jose on that show, Force only knows what that episode will be about.
It's gonna be about dinosaurs. Everything on the whiteboard.
It better be. It better be. All right. Last
also,
couple
really
updates.
quickly, shout out to Jose for making this.
Oh yes.
Yes,
Jose!
it's so awesome. It literally, it's as shiny and gold as the Utini that Kevin Scott now owns.
Oh, beautiful.
It's all about the branding, baby.
High Republic.
All about
I
that
love the
branding.
name. I love the name too, but I have to say every single time, you've been saying High Republic Week for like the last 2 weeks, Eric, and I really thought you were just like slurring the word a little bit, like every single time you said it.
The High
Marriage.
Republic.
Marriage. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the High Republic Week. We are going to talk about Star Wars today.
And Corey's like, dude, you're either really drunk or having a stroke. So
Porque no las dos. All right.
To perform
next
the
up-
entire episode with a facial droop.
That would be
Here we
rough.
go.
But what's even rougher is our next update, which is our Utini Fantasy update. That's right, we did swap producers, but we didn't swap the amount of people that play fantasy. So Emma, I'm looking at our sleeper list right now, and I gotta say, based on what I'm looking at, where is your team? Are you winning this week? You're winning this
I
week.
am.
You
It is-
won. It's
I
over.
did win. It is over.
Gosh, dang it.
I'm now.
I mean, great for you. Sorry, you weren't
5-1.
playing me.
Yes, it's This is actually like I've played fantasy
my
football for
gosh.
many years now. Like ever since I could like comprehend like football, and this is by far the best start I've ever had. Like I'm
You're doing really well.
super hyped. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You might be number 1 in the league because you beat Andrew, who, again, has previously said we need to take him down a peg if he loses, which we will. Andrew, get
I
good,
took it as a
son.
challenge and I won. It's fine.
Yeah. I don't know, Andrew. Why wouldn't you start Carson Wentz against Emma? If you know, you know. But Emma, congrats. You had a great week. I, on the other hand, am needing a Monday Night Miracle from Melvin Gordon and Gerald Everett to beat Oz on our team. If you had the glorious opportunity to meet Oz and his amazing mustache, maybe it's Celebration, maybe elsewhere in the world, you know that you just want him to get beat in fantasy, right? You just really need it. And unfortunately, it's unlikely. But y'all, any good vibes would be great because I really can't deal with next week of losing to Oz. So we hope we all do well. And even though he's not here, let me take a second here to shout out Wes, who lost to Jacob. All right. Next up,
Wes
we
is
have another-
catching L's this show. I
Wes
tell
had
you
a
what,
rough
teach
show.
him not to show up.
Wes, you gotta get here, bro. I'm sorry, man. This ain't right. Next up is a update to our Utini High Republic draft board. Our bracket, as it were, is continuing. Our buddy Jordan Blindfates is sent us a nice little update of what's going on. There have been a lot of really intense matchups lately, and I'm just gonna bring it up here and look at this. The last couple, Emma, there was a rough one for you this
Uh-oh.
past week. Your girl Vernestra's out.
No.
Yes, she
Wow.
went down to the hands of Elzar Man. 20 to
Oh.
12. That's a tough
Ah.
break. And then Keith Trennis, one of our favorites on the show, lost as well
No.
to Burriaga. Which
It's a
is-
little understandable.
I voted for Keith, I gotta say, but that was tough. Closest matchup of the week, Stellan Gios lost. He fell.
Ooh.
He's actually very good at falling, though. It's one of his best talents.
Aw, boo.
To Loden Greatstorm, who just left him in the dust. So great job, Loden, for continuing. But
Yeah, that's
Loden-
fair. He's
Yeah.
not loading mediocre storm, so you know that probably swayed the people.
Put that on the back of Light of the Jedi right there. But next week, Loden's gonna have a tough go because he's going against his own Padawan, Bel Zettifar, who just took down Zine
Ooh.
Morala. Bel Zettifar I think it's gonna be hard to beat. Our community
Yeah.
adores Bel, as they
Yeah.
should. But he is an all-star. So great job with that. The last two that are moving on, Geode. I mean,
Of course he
Geode.
is.
Come on.
He's still in
he's
it.
gonna win. He's gonna
definitely
win.
might. He definitely
He's gonna
might.
win.
He's the sentient rock that
mean,
gets a little frisky.
I mean, I love Geode too, but guys, come on.
Yeah.
I know. We honestly probably should have just like eliminated him as a potential person to even be in it because he's so guaranteed to win.
Just make him a judge. He's just like looking
right?
at everybody.
He's like the Simon
then
Cowell of the draft.
Oh my god,
That's
he would
correct.
be so judgmental. That's exactly what Geode would do. And then finally we have our buddy Reese Silas, who took over oh my gosh, I just clicked away. Leox Giassi. Matthew McConaughey is who Reese took down. And according to Justin in the chat right now, Bel Zettifar is up 9 votes. At the moment, it's the current vote. Again, go to our Discord, go to the High Republic tab, check out the bracket challenge. A ton of people have been having a lot of fun. It's gotten pretty heated some nights. I've been seeing people go back and forth with their favorites. So have a great time, and thank you for everyone for participating. It's really just such a joy to see the entire community talk about their favorite Phase 1 characters, and I can't wait till we have all the ones from Phase 2 to love it even more. All right, a couple thank yous before we jump into our look at the next phase of the High Republic. Our Patreon community over at patreon.com/utini. Thank you all so much for your continued support of the show and everything we do. We hope you're enjoying all the content we have over there. We got your early episodes of Star Wars Archives. We got your documentary. We got your behind-the-scenes footage. All kinds of great stuff's happening over on Patreon. Your support really does truly mean the world, especially our annual patrons, because you allow us to know what we can do throughout the year. Can we afford our server costs, automations, things that keep Youtini.com going? It really is a lot behind the scenes, and you are the reason that it is possible. We thank and we love you so dearly. And finally, we're going to give you a nice reminder to make sure you get your book pre-orders in. The High Republic Quest for the Hidden City by George Mann. It's coming out on November 1st. And The Art of Star Wars: The High Republic by Kristen Baver, November 8th. It's almost here. Our first High Republic art book. We haven't talked about it a whole ton. We will be reviewing it on the show, so stay tuned. Absolutely can't wait for that one. All right, folks, let's jump into the main part of the show, where we're going to talk about a little something called the High Republic, as I would say. The High Republic Phase 2. Last week, we talked all about Phase 1, and we went through kind of all the books and all the characters and all the main synopses and all that good stuff. And I want to go around one more time and kind of refresh folks on some of our favorite parts about Phase 1 before we jump into what we know. Emma, you weren't here last week, so share with the community, what were some of your favorite parts of the High Republic Phase 1 as you've been thinking ahead to what's next?
Yeah, that's a tough one. So I really enjoyed the entirety of the first phase. A lot more than I thought I would, actually. Like, I wasn't expecting to fall in love with it this much. Looking back on it, I'm trying to remember, like, what my initial, like, thoughts were, if I was excited. And I kind of want to say, I don't know if I was, like, super excited, because I didn't really know, we only knew, like, Yoda and pretty, like, isolated in terms of the timeline. But then I read Light of the Jedi. It only took like, they previewed like 8 chapters or something like that.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I need like the rest of this immediately. And, the writing just like blew me away instantly. I think one of the highlights looking back for me is just how connected everything was, like with the comics especially. Because when I heard it was a multimedia thing, I was like, oh, that's great. And, we tend to say that like everything's connected, but usually not that connected, especially when it comes to comics. So I was really glad to see like, the character that was on the cover of the first adult novel actually went into the comics to have her story, fleshed out there. And that was really exciting to me. Also just, the junior novels were solid. Like there was not one bad piece of content. Like you could find something you enjoyed in every single part of it. And I think that's what I love the most and what I'm looking forward to the most as well. Because now I'm looking at the slate of content that's coming out and I'm like, I'm excited for all of these because I know that they're going to be really solid and interconnected. And it's a great time to love books and comics for sure.
No question. Dang. So there's like the dissertation answer and why you like the High Republic, why everyone has been so obsessed with this. Fellas, I know we talked about it a bunch last week, but just as a quick refresher, or as we've had a week to ruminate on it, Corey, I'm going to take Geode off the table as we talked. It's not fair. But other than that, what's one thing as we, got away from our conversation about the High Republic, did you really miss about it maybe, or did you really love about it looking ahead to the next books?
I mean, I am, I've really enjoyed the High Republic in general. I'm looking forward just to the general continuity of kind of the big picture plot. Like I've always kind of been really that story driven type of person. Honestly, like reading Legends back when I was a kid, like I was really interested in the things that move the galactic dial forward, essentially. Right.
Right.
Like I love those stories with Jason Solo and, the Skywalker kids and all that kind of thing. So I'm really looking forward to like, I want to know more about like Marchion Ro and like the background of like these creatures. And I think I'm just most looking forward to moving the dial forward. What's the football analogy? Moving the
goalposts?
The goalposts is the word I was looking for.
Moving the chains. Moving the chains. Oh, I got it wrong.
Moving the goalposts did happen at Tennessee over Bama.
It's that.
That's true.
That's right. I saw that video. Moving that CGI yellow line forward that they show on the TV, but isn't actually on the field. That I didn't learn until I was much older.
That's it.
Yes,
yeah.
Hard same. Yeah.
One of the greatest things. So great. Moving the chains. Gosh, Corey coming in hot with the sports metaphors as he always does. If you're a fan of the show, that's a consistent
so
thing.
bad.
Just get ready, man. We're gonna get all these Formula One metaphors coming in the next year.
I know. That's
but
right.
Charles, what about you, dude? What's High Republic really kind of done for you, and what can't you wait to come back?
Say it with me, y'all. Stellan Gios.
Oh no, he is gone.
Hey, that was
Yeah,
kind of
nice.
a sports metaphor.
It was
I
a
like
little bit of a source
Yeah.
metaphor. Yeah, I'm trying to keep the thing going. No, for me, I think I answered differently last week, but there's so many things. And for me today, it's just how wide open this entire era is. I mean, even after an entire phase, we've moved to a new part of the timeline yet again, and everything's just wide open. Like the only thing they can't do is kill Yoda. And beyond that, they can do
Yep.
whatever the heck they want. And that's really fun because, it can feel, even though it can feel comforting to read books that have some of your favorite characters from the OT or the PT, sometimes it can feel like certain plot points or certain characters are hemmed into certain decisions or what have you. And that's just never been the case with the High Republic. Everything is brand new, and that just makes it all feel really exciting.
I love that.
I mean, they could kill Yoda as long as they bring him back. Like,
That's
know.
true.
Somehow.
Okay.
Yoda's actually-
Sure.
Yoda actually, funny enough, is consumed by the Nameless, and that's actually an
Have you ever seen his
avatar
legs?
cloned by Yoda.
You ever seen Yoda's legs?
Have seen
never
his
seen-
legs,
You've
actually.
never seen Yoda's legs.
Yeah,
No,
he
you
fights
haven't.
with
But, you've only seen his
Got like
ankles.
3 little toes.
You've seen his ankles and his little creepy toes. That's all you've seen. Like you haven't seen his legs. Maybe they're like robot spider legs, like Darth Maul. You don't know.
You make
Well,
a great point. So Yoda might be cut in half in phase 2. I love
Normal
that.
hips, robot legs, normal feet. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Or the
They
Yoda
saved
that
the
we
fetus.
know the Yoda we know from the prequels could be actually like the offspring of Yoda from the High Republic and Yaddle, right?
Maybe that explains the weird puppet from episode 1.
He's just a weird baby.
Imposter, yeah.
Oh.
So Charles wants Yoda and Yaddle to get it on. That's the number one thing.
I want that. Who doesn't want
That's a
that?
Okay, great point. If you're part of this community, you know it's Yaddle season and we're just living in it. We will unironically, and I seriously mean this, get to Yaddle later on. But for right now, let's dive into the phase 2 and what it's going to look like. First of all, we're getting a change in phase 2, which honestly, as much as I love the High Republic, I love Disney books, I love Del Rey, they have not been the best at marketing this idea because we are changing the order of the stories. Back in phase 1, it was always adult novel, or middle grade novel, young adult. Adult novel, middle grade novel, young adult. That was how the continuity happened. That's how our High Republic guide over on the site goes. It was very easy. Now, with phase 2, the first book chronologically is the young adult novel called Path of Deceit. It's this guy right here. Again, this book came out October 4th. It is out at the time of recording. So, if you haven't read this yet, this is the first book chronologically. And for those that haven't read it yet, Charles, would you please do us the kindness of just reading the synopsis for this book as we look at this gorgeous cover on screen?
Yes, but I'll have you know I'm on chapter 12.
Amazing.
So, the Outer Rim planet Dalna has become the focus of a Jedi investigation into a stolen Force artifact, and Zala Macri and her Padawan Kevmo Zink arrive on the pastoral world to follow up on a possible connection to a Dalnan missionary group called the Path of the Open Hand. Members of the Path believe that the Force must be free and should not be used by anyone, not even the Jedi. One such believer is Marta Rowe, a young woman who dreams of leaving Dalna to spread the word of the Path throughout the galaxy. When Marta and Kevmo meet, their connection is instantaneous and electric until Marta discovers Kevmo is a Jedi. But Kevmo is so kind and eager to learn more about the Path that she hopes she can convince him of the rightness of her beliefs. What Marta doesn't realize is that the leader of the Path, a charismatic woman known only as the Mother, has an agenda of her own, and it is one that can never coexist peacefully with the Jedi.
So, that's the big one. As I said, a lot of our community have been loving this book. But as Charles said, I believe I'm the only one of the 4 of us who has finished it, which makes this conversation fun. And I think similar to a lot of folks in our community right now. So Dalna is first mentioned in phase 1, Mission to Disaster, by one of Emma's favorites, Justina Ireland, who also wrote this book.
Love you,
But
Justina.
I want to ask you all, what do you think about this phase starting with a young adult novel? Just as a concept. I know this was a kind of a questionable decision, according to some folks, and some folks I think are going to skip this one altogether. What do you think?
It's very interesting. I think I'm in the camp of questionable decision, quite frankly. I think the stakes seemed very high starting out phase one with Charles Soule's incredible book. And it feels a little weird. It feels like we're starting a lot slower with phase two. Now, the story I've heard is excellent. And Eric, you've had nothing but positive things to say about it, especially.
Yeah. And in the
as it
chat right now,
picks
too,
up.
we got some people that are already loving this book, which is great to see.
Yeah, people say it picks up, and I don't know. What do you think? I mean, it's not spoiler free, of course, Eric, but do you think it can serve? I mean, is the hype of the book, is it even close to Light of the Jedi in any way?
Well, I think that's a great question. Because I think they've always said phase two, you can jump into it if you haven't read phase one. That's been the thing, right? They want to be a jumping on point. And I would agree with that for the most part. A lot of people have said, well, I'd be lost if I haven't completely read phase one. You won't be. There'll be some things you won't maybe get hit by as hard. As a person that's read all of phase one, there are parts of the book that I really connected to a lot more. And I think it's a completely different jumping on point. For me, Light of the Jedi hit me more. I like the kind of grand space opera of this. But as Justin says in the chat, I could see some people liking this more than Light of the Jedi. It's a more intimate story. It's less characters to remember. And it's kind of a more philosophical book with a lot more conversations. And it has some really great characters. Emma, we have some concept art I'd love us to show up that we saw at Celebration of some of these characters that, again, might not mean as much to you if you haven't been part of phase one, but we do get amazing characters like the first one up here, Marta Rowe, who is a standout character. And I think starting this phase with a character like her, who is a much more like emotional character. She's part of the Path of the Open Hand, not a Jedi, not the Avar Kriss charging into battle with a lightsaber, not something like that. Aside a character like the Mother, who's also another phenomenal character who is kind of completely different from anyone we've ever seen as a leader of this path. It's a very different start. So while, as I said, it might be slower for some folks, it's kind of an interesting idea because they're like, hey, did you not maybe resonate as much with the Jedi? What about a slower YA that kind of looks at the Force in a different way? And they might grab on totally new readers, which is a fascinating concept.
I think, well, I have several thoughts about this, but I think the main thing for me, I think that this is a positive decision because, if people read phase one, I think like the only response after reading phase one is I just want more High Republic. I think whether you liked the ending or like that it's going back in time, I feel like that's the only response. Like after finishing out phase one, it's like, okay, well, what happens next? And even though we're going back in time, I think that this still builds on the excitement, and maybe we'll get some more people into YA. I don't think that actually happened, but I think that was the idea, and I think it's really too bad because, we all know I'm a huge Justina Ireland fan because I like more character-driven stories, right? In my books, for the most part. And but unfortunately, I think I'm kind of like in the minority with that. The majority likes a more Light of the Jedi story where it is just, sitting on the edge of your seat, action, and your palms are sweaty. You're like, oh, what's gonna happen to Captain Hedda Cassette? And poor Captain Hedda. But yeah,
what a great intro, and then off we go.
Oh, I know. And the fact that I even remember her name. She was in like 2 chapters of the book.
The prologue.
The prologue, yeah. And I remember her name.
Sorry.
Icon. But yeah, so I wish that, they had good intentions, I think, and I wish that more people were like, YA good, it doesn't just because it's, I don't know how many times we have to say this, but just because it's YA doesn't mean that it's any less of a story. And I hope that, I've heard that the end of this book has some really large consequences, and I hope that that sort of lends more to convincing people that this is worthwhile.
Yeah, and that's kind of the one thing I want to say about this book before we go on to the next title, which is coming out very soon, is that, as we said in our review, the end of this book really rockets high. Even if you're not like the slower books, the end of it is just very insane in a great way. It actually has a lot of ramifications that start out the phase with a kind of massive swing. So again, this is the only one that at least I have read fully, and most people have read fully so far. Can just say that if you're on the fence and you want to pick this one up, you can know nothing about the High Republic and jump in. You can know everything about it and jump in. And by the time it ends, you are right back in the saddle of loving the initiative. And jumping off to the next title, which is by one of our favorites here on the Living Force. Now finally getting a full-length Star Wars book. It is this guy right here. I got my review copy. I'm right there. I mean, you see my bookmark. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
With Quest for the Hidden City by freaking George Mann.
Georgie.
We love him. Charles, he's your OG. Tell us what George wrote that is coming out on November 1st.
Oh, the synopsis for George's
That's
book.
it again, man. You were so
Wow,
good at the
I
last
wasn't
one.
expecting two in a row. I must have really crushed that first one. Okay. Quest for the Hidden City by George Mann. Daring pilots chart new routes through hyperspace, while Pathfinder teams make contact with frontier worlds to invite them to join the Republic. When a Pathfinder team's communications droid is found drifting in space, damaged and bearing a cryptic message, Jedi Knight Salandra Sho and her Padawan Rupert Nitani are sent to find the missing team members. Their investigation leads them to the planet Gloam, a ravaged world said to be haunted by mythical monsters. And if that's just not the most George Mann thing ever,
For real.
because y'all that know George Mann, you know that he loves his horror and his folklore, and that just sounds like he has managed to mash all that together with Star Wars. So good on you, George.
Picked up this boy here, the Myths and Fables. If y'all are, you
Yes.
know how
You
much we
gotta-
love
gotta
Myths and
flex it.
Fables on this show. Oh yeah, I gotta flex this Disney Parks exclusive. Yeah, love George. Absolutely adoring that he got this book. I'm not that far with it, but there are two things that I want to highlight about this book. Number one, that it is George Mann getting a book fully in the High Republic. But two, it features a master, Salandra Sho, who has a lightsaber shield. And I feel like
This is
that
incredible.
could be the entire part of the initiative. Right? I remember
Can you say that one more time? She has a what?
lightsaber shield.
It's Captain America in space.
Look at her
Charles.
back. She's wearing it on her back like Captain America, and it's a lightsaber.
How does it
shield.
even
It's-
work? Oh,
it's like
lightsaber
the,
shield.
What were the colon crystal shields? You remember those from
Oh, Master and
Master
oh my
and Apprentice.
gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
colon crystals.
Colon
has such
crystals.
a meaning for me.
I will say, I've read this in the book, and
Get your
it makes
colonoscopy.
sense and how it's activated and stuff. But yeah,
That's
Does it carry a
cool.
lightsaber too,
It's-
like a regular lightsaber, or
yeah,
is it
she has
literally
a
just a
lightsaber
shield?
as well.
I mean,
Like a
entire
lightsaber as well.
the vectors, their entire ships run off their lightsabers. Why couldn't they power smaller objects?
She doesn't
Exactly.
throw the lightsaber shield and then have it come back to her like a boomerang. Well, missed opportunity.
Not yet. I'm only halfway through
We just
it.
could use the force. Like, I mean, Captain America has like a friggin' magnet or something on his wrist. We could use the force for that. Like, we don't even need.
Exactly.
We don't
It's
even
true.
need to be connected to the shield. Just friggin', you know.
Exactly. But we get these two main Jedi, and of course a monster book here. And Charles, I do want to throw back to you just because you are such the George Mann fan on the show. Like, what do you think this book is going to bring us, just based on George's previous work, for folks that may not have actually read like Myths and Fables, Life Day Treasury, things like that?
Yeah, I think it will be interesting because the Myths and Fables, I guess I can say series at this point. Like, you know,
Yeah.
those are some of the stories that are in that no man's land of like canon legends. It's like this could have happened. It's like folklore from within the universe. And this book is going to be a little bit more, no, this definitely happened. So I think we're going to see like a cool mix of the weird that he likes to pull in that's like questionable, like did this happen or not. We're going to see a good mix of that with, you know, a solid story that beat for beat we know did happen. So I think it's going to be fun. I think he's going to be one of those people that pushes the boundaries that I was just mentioning. Like there really are very few. So I think it's really cool to bring on someone like him because I think he thinks outside the box.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, without giving any spoilers, the embargo for this, I believe, is technically up. It all got confused. But if you like stories about Jedi, there's also a pretty decent father-son story in this as well. If you've listened to our interviews with George, you know he's a dad and he loves being one, and that definitely shows. And I did want to also highlight Rupert Nitani. who's star of the show and on the cover, another Jedi woman of color leading the story. The High Republic has been huge about its representation since Jump. Just continues. And again, I'm not going to tell you who Rooper is yet. You'll meet her. This is again a middle grade novel, which a lot of folks kind of mull over. If you're looking at it in a Target, you're going to be like, why is this like 4-inch tall book something I might want to read as an adult? But I will say, having read a little bit of it so far, it reads like a George Mann story. It is not juvenile. It is not shying away from horror. It is not shying away from like 3-syllable words. Like, frankly, there are some verbs I've had to Google, and it's like 3rd grade to 7th grade. I'm like, well, maybe in England, George, we are not doing that with American public schools. But it's a really cool time. And so for fans, again, of George's writing as a whole, you got to pick that up. And again, that's coming out November 1st.
Rooper is
which, of
also a
course-
great Star Wars name, I gotta say. Like,
Rupert Natani,
yeah,
come on.
It's a great Star
What
Wars
a great
name.
ba-da-da-ba-da. Like, it just flows so
Yeah.
nicely.
Stormtrooper.
Stormtrooper. Only Stormtroopers are so precise. I hate myself for that one. But that, of course, leads us to our final book. Again, there are technically our final book of the wave. There are comics as well. We're not getting into all those because, again, there's so many projects. But the final book of the first wave is the adult novel, ironically. And this is Convergence by Zoraida Cordova. It's being released on November 22nd. Corey, we got a good meaty synopsis here. Take us through Convergence. I know a lot of folks are very stoked about this one.
Yeah, Convergence, sweet cover, by the way. I love this cover with
That's
the
so
purple
good.
lightsaber and the yellow and the blue. They've done a lot of artistic kind of stuff with the High Republic covers. I really
Yes.
love.
Cosplayers
They're often like
unite.
they're often like triple toned or something like that. It seems to be a trend where they have like 3 really
Oh,
bright
yeah.
colors. But yeah, I love this cover. I
Great
think it's my
point.
favorite of the new stuff.
I just can't wait
all
to
right,
find out, like, we've got purple dual lightsabers. I can't wait to hear about that.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, it's
Oh,
gonna be
yeah.
fun. All right, Convergence, Zoraida Cordova. This is the adult novel coming out on November 22nd of this year. Here is the synopsis. On the close orbiting planets of Iram in Irano, I don't know.
We'll get the audiobook. We'll
Irono?
find out.
I don't know. On the close orbiting planets of Iram and Arono, the growing pains of a galaxy with limited resources but unlimited ambition are felt keenly. Their hatred for each other has fueled half a decade of escalating conflict and now threatens to consume surrounding systems. The last hope for peace emerges when heirs from the 2 planets' royal families plan to marry. Before lasting peace can be established, an assassination attempt targeting the couple tilts Iram and Arono back into all-out war. To save both worlds, Jedi Knight Gela Natai volunteers to uncover the culprit, while Chancellor Kyong appoints her son, Axel Greylark, to represent the Republic's interests in the investigation. Oh, nepotism. Cool, bro. But Axel's deep distrust of the Jedi sparks against Gela's faith in the Force. She's never met such a puffed up, privileged party boy, and he's never met a more self-serious, relentless do-gooder. The more they work to untangle the shadowy web of the investigation, the more complicated the conspiracy appears to be. With accusations flying and potential enemies in every shadow, the pair will have to work together to have any hope of bringing truth to light and saving both worlds.
Thanks for not making me read that one, Eric.
I got
Yeah,
you,
good
man.
God. Jesus.
Yeah.
Also,
Like
this
4
one is-
planets and like 10 name dropped in that
this,
one.
This sounds like the picture of a perfect Zoraida Cordova novel.
It does. It sounds young adult. It does sounds
like
young adult
Crash
to
of
me.
It
Fate,
does,
which we
it
have right
does.
here, which we loved a
It
lot.
does sound young adult. It's gonna be very interesting to see Cordova's work in the adult novel world, because it's always fun getting people to jump genres a little bit because or
Yeah.
ages, I guess, because sometimes they totally kill it. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and I want to say, we have not talked about it on this show as we did with Light of the Jedi, but Penguin Random House did release the first 4 full chapters of this book. Again, in a similar flex to what they did with Light of the Jedi, they released the first 4 chapters on their site. You can Google it, Convergence exclusive extended excerpt or something like that. Also available in audio form, or you can buy it in audio form. My mistake. But the excerpt is all there. So you can check out Zoraida Cordova's writing. And actually, our friend Tom over at Del Rey did tweet out a couple quotes from the book. this past week, and I just wanted to read them for you guys to kind of give us a vibe of what this writing style might be, because I thought they were really interesting. And again, Tom edited the book himself, so these are the 4 that he found very kind of key. The first one said, "Get up, my heart. You are Thylefire made, and the scorpion does not cry." Okay.
Oh my God.
Why do people say wizard like it's a bad thing? Okay, little comedy. If I were not a Jedi, then I would not be who I am. Love that. Do you now see what comes of trusting Jedi?
Ooh.
Like,
that's
4
spicy.
very short, but very interesting tonal quotes. Like, based on just obviously that long synopsis, we had some romance, we got a big war, we got a picture too of Axel Greylark here. I want to put up on the screen because we've talked about this guy in the past. He is a rake. He is a rogue. He is other unquestionable, unmentionable things we could say, based on this concept art. But based on just that synopsis and then the vibe of these kind of quotes, what are you all expecting from this book? It feels, again, a little bit like Uncharted Waters, especially in an adult novel.
I think,
Yeah,
well, like Corey said,
it's gonna be fun.
nepotism. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Love to see it.
this character, he's giving me very like bad vibes. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, he seems like
Oh, we're gonna hate him.
Oh, we're gonna.
We're really
hate
gonna
him
hate
very
him.
badly,
We're gonna
yes.
despise him as a
Yeah.
character.
He seems like the type of person that, like, if you're out with your friends, like, you know, if I'm out with my, you know, with my girlfriends or whatever, seems like the type of person I would just like want to steer clear of because he's creepy. Like that.
Yep.
He's just giving me that vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Can I buy you a drink? No.
No, please go away, sir. Take your cape and go away.
Like, every time he gets close to you, you have to like make sure your hand is like over the top of your cup. He's like one
Yeah,
of those
it's
type
like,
of
come
guys.
on, man.
Yeah. I take out my, you know, my keys, put it between my knuckles.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh god.
Very much like my father would hear about this, like vibes from this guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a good
Draco
one.
Malfoy vibes for sure.
Yes.
My father will hear
I
about this.
text my
Yeah.
family my location. If I
Yeah.
see you later. It's,
But of
yeah,
course,
I
mean,
I think
yeah.
we're gonna hate his guts, but also like, Corey, I'm glad you brought up that it feels very YA because I agree with that statement. In that, like, I feel like it's gonna be very romance heavy, just from the you know sort of synopsis that we got, either romance heavy or what's the word, like just lustful maybe. I don't know, like it's gonna there's gonna be some vibes like that, and we don't get that very frequently in adult novels. I feel like the closest we got to it recently was Princess and the Scoundrel, and even then, like we said that wasn't even that spicy, but I feel like this one has a chance. I'm really excited to see like what this whole situation is, because these 2 planets, Irem and Arono or whatever, weren't those mentioned in one of the books?
Into the Dark.
Into the Dark, yeah.
Yep,
And
the
that's
flashback
one-
with
Yeah, the
Comac.
And they're already
Flashback,
mentioned in
yeah.
Path of Deceit repeatedly
Yes.
as well.
This is like the global event that's going on at this point, so it definitely
Right.
is going to
Yeah.
be like central to the initiative.
But
for sure.
Comac, but they're not alive, right? So like this couldn't be the
Right.
flashback. Okay, so this is like totally different. I think that's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting, and I think it's gonna maybe this could have the potential to add more to like Into the Dark and some other things. And I think we're probably gonna find little stuff like that along the way as we go. I'm really excited for this, and I'm really thrilled about Zoraida Cordova getting more Star Wars, because I think all of us have been
Yeah.
saying like let's let Zoraida write some more Star Wars, and
Yeah.
we're getting it.
Yeah, and they clearly had her picked for this. And then, of course, the next project we're going to talk about also does tie in a little bit to Irem and Arono. And that is going to be the end of phase of wave. Oh my god!
Has to happen once per
I'm never gonna get it. The end of wave 1 of phase 2. See, Corey, I just hope that
It's
you're
what you get
feeling
for
good.
it's what you
That's
get
all I
for
want.
bullying me earlier in the week. you
You're right.
piece of-
That's right. So the final piece of wave 1 is probably my most anticipated piece right now, The Battle of Jeddah by George Mann, an audio drama and script book. We already know we're getting both releasing January 3rd and February 14th, respectively. So make sure you go ahead and get your sweetheart the script book of Battle of Jeddah for Valentine's Day.
That cracked me up for some reason.
It's gonna be good. I will selfishly, I'll take this one. It's another hefty one, but I think it's gonna be good. It says the following: Jeddah, The worn streets of this ancient world serve as a confluence for the galaxy, visited by all yet owned by none. Here the Jedi are but one creed among many worshipping and studying the Force. From the Guardians of the Wills to the Path of the Open Hand, countless beings come to learn and to share in peace. As all of Jeddah prepares for its Festival of Balance, the galaxy still reels from the violence on Iram and Arono. All right, there it is. But after foiling a plot to escalate the war between the two planets, the Jedi believe that a lasting peace may be within reach. Master Creighton's son and Jedi Knight Ada Forte, those are the two on the cover there, I believe, arrive on Jeddah with delegations from both planets to formally end the, quote, forever war. The Jedi hope that the harmony of Jeddah's many factions, along with the signing of a peace treaty, will create a symbol to the rest of the galaxy of what can be accomplished through unity. But not all are happy with the Jedi's involvement or ready to concern themselves with peace. Rumors begin to swirl that the Jedi bring war in their wake. The distrust and anger that for so long fueled the Forever War now threaten to corrupt the communities of Jeddah. When violence breaks out on the Sacred Moon, the war that was meant to end on Jeddah may soon engulf the entire world. So,
whole world.
like, I mean, we've been wanting this since Rogue One, right? I mean, we saw
yeah.
those giant Jedi statues, and now like we're going to freaking Jeddah. Like,
I want to see that statue, but when it's standing and in pristine condition. And I think that's what we're gonna get.
Yes. Yeah, and we've seen Jeddah a little bit in the first issue of the High Republic comic that came out last week. In Phase 2, we do see Jeddah. But yeah, I mean, y'all, the audio dramas have been great. Tempest Runner was interesting. Was
Yeah.
more like Lorna D based.
I loved it.
This
It still is my
feels-
favorite.
It was so good.
I'm excited for this. I like the audio dramas. I think they're a lot of fun. I like that they're relatively short. They feel like huge projects because we know how many people are involved in them. And I'm very pleased we're getting another one. And especially from George Mann, too, of all people. Like, what an interesting person to write the audio drama. That fits a lot for me.
And to end the wave, like, you know,
Yeah.
it's going to be something big, right? Like this,
Right.
this feels like, because some of the other projects, not that they were bad. I've loved all the audio dramas, but
Mhm.
they didn't have build up like to that specific project. And this one
Right.
will. So I feel like they're really going to go all out. And when you throw like all that production value that Star Wars has at its disposal at a big story like that,
Yeah.
I think it might be the best one we've gotten yet.
As long as there's
Yeah.
less coughing, I'll be happy.
There will be less
Less
cases
coughing.
of chronic bronchitis.
Bronchitis, a Star Wars story.
Bronchitis, the audio drama.
He's
I'm
still out there,
so-
guys.
I'm so excited for this one in particular. Like, just getting to see more of Jeddah is really exciting, and the fact that they mentioned the Guardians of the Wills, it's like, oh, that's interesting. Like, they definitely
Mhm.
did that on purpose.
Oh yeah.
Also, on a silly note, when I first saw the cover for this, I had a heart attack because I thought that was like Prince Caesar on first look.
Oh my god.
I was gonna quit.
Oh,
I
that
was
would
gonna
be
quit
funny.
Oh,
everything
no.
if that was the case, but we're good. We're good.
You
She's-
fathom.
Yeah, she's fine.
Yeah.
She's a Jedi, and she
Yep.
is pure of heart, or at least purer of heart than Shizor.
Yeah. And we'll definitely kill some people in this audio drama. Let's
Yes.
be clear. Absolutely gonna murder some folks.
Yes.
Wow. Yep. Our buddy Jared just tuned in for the Zizor
Oh,
reference. Welcome, buddy.
Jared,
You
you heard the bat signal.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be absolutely incredible, and I think all the audio dramas, Dooku Jedi Lost, Dr. Aphra, Tempest Runner, have all been surrounding a singular character, and the fact that this is like the battle of Jedi. I'm sure we'll follow these two Jedi throughout, but it's not just a character growth. It seems like no, we're showing the battle that is gonna kind of define the end of the Forever War potentially. So this takes place, we know, after like Path of Deceit, after Convergence. So we will at least get something from them. And then we get a 2-month break, technically after the script book, but really a 3-month break, which I think is healthy. We got a 3-month
Well,
break.
We gotta also think, there might be a delay. I don't know. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of the way things
How
have
long
been
is,
trending.
That's true. I hope that by
Yeah.
the time that rolls around, we're done with delays, though. I mean, how long of a break have we been in right now? Like, it feels like it's been an eternity.
We've been about since the High Republic phases. I think it's been like something like 6 months,
Yeah.
Okay.
something like
yeah.
that, 5 or 6. So
Yeah.
It feels like it's been a long time.
yeah, so
Yes, 'cause
2
we've been
months
missing it,
between,
which is
or
good.
yeah,
That's
so
right.
3 months technically between produced waves. We will go from the Battle of Jeddah to April 4th. If everything goes well, we will then, of course, non-confusingly at all, begin with an adult novel.
It's the snake
Okay.
order of the draft, right?
It's
I-
snake order,
I
absolutely.
I just want to say that this might be some sort of foreshadowing that a book called Cataclysm comes out the day before my 30th birthday.
Oh God.
Oh, that's funny, Charles.
Oh, that's worrisome.
That's a great
is-
attitude, Charles.
My low back is done.
This is so good to know. I can't wait to take you out for your 30th. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna be like, hey Charles, you read this book while you're just falling on the floor. But speaking of the roguish rake who you don't want to buy you a drink, we got Axel Greylark back on the cover of High Republic Cataclysm by Lydia Kang. This is an adult novel. No official synopsis yet, but Lydia Kang is an author who has previously written a short story and from a certain point of view, Empire Strikes Back. But this is their Star Wars full-length debut. We showed this cover last week, but y'all, let's just talk about the most important part of this book. It's a reveal that Lydia Kang said herself and concept art we saw on the High Republic show this very week. It's Yaddle season. In the most legitimate way, Yaddle is in this book, guys. I don't know
Hunting.
why.
Yazzle hunting season. Yaddle hunting season.
Yaddle hunting season. Look
mean-
at this. Look at this little Yaddle.
Girl, her hair is on fire. Like,
It
This
is.
photo looks so awkward because she's so
short.
small.
It's like mostly
Very
gray.
small.
I wonder
Like-
if she's got robot legs above those little three-toed feet.
Probably.
Oh, yeah, she might.
I mean, this looks like a school photo. Like she's having a school photo taken.
Oh my
and
god,
they
yes,
had to,
all
like-
Padawans should.
because everybody's photo has to be the same. They couldn't like take it off the tripod or zoom in or anything. They just had to take it
That's
like
hilarious.
it
It
was.
is that background, though. It really is.
I know
that
it is.
background.
It really is.
He's got the same
I
haircut
know.
as Max's brother from season whatever of Stranger Things.
Oh my God.
Does.
she does.
It does.
What
Yeah.
She's rocking
what a
Billy.
strange connection.
Billy.
But it's true.
What a great reference to Billy. I love Billy.
Billy, there it
Great.
is.
Oh, Billy.
Billy vibes.
Well, Eric, when,
But
when
yeah.
you're leading into this this question and you're saying like the most important part of this book, I thought you were going to talk about the cover, which I'm going to bring that
Okay,
back
yeah.
up actually.
Yeah, let's back up to the cover because it is a perfect.
Yes.
All of Wave 2 is a perfect balance to Wave 1. Their titles, their art
Yes.
styles, but yeah, specifically this cover is an exact match to
It
Convergence.
is. It's an exact match, but actually that wasn't even my first thought, oddly enough. For some
Go for
reason,
it.
my brain went immediately to, oh my God, bisexual lighting. Like, you know,
Oh, sure.
you've got the blue and the purple. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's there. I don't know if
I could
this
see
means
it.
anything, but it was like it was my immediate thought. Yeah, and I'm here for it. I'm digging the, blaster in one hand, lightsaber in the other. I'm a little concerned that looks like, that girl's
Gemma's lightsaber.
Yeah, I'm feeling a
Yep.
little worried about that.
She had to.
Yeah, there's a lot to
She had
there's
to
a lot
go.
to
Looks
like
like it.
on this there's a lot to like on this cover. Again, we're getting the like kind of tritone like
Mhm.
imagery again, which I love. The Jedi has a blaster that's so cool. Looks like Power Ranger. I don't know if that was said already. We we joked about that at some
little
point.
bit.
Why do you say that?
Looks like a I don't know.
Yeah.
He just has he has strong Power Ranger vibes to me.
Yeah. Well, and Stephanie Mack here in our chat, as she said, she found out the covers look great side by side. As Evan just put up, Stephanie went back and
Wow,
photo
look at
edited
that.
a bunch of the covers together, but they pair perfectly. And the fact that one is blue and light and one is more purple, like I arrange all my books by spine, guys. And here's the thing: there's no way I can't display them like this.
Yeah.
Because they're
course not.
clearly meant to go together, and they're like almost back to back in that way.
They
Like
are, and Stephanie did a much better job. I just did this very quickly.
you did great.
Yes, but like, I mean, seriously, guys, this is like, okay, we're getting interconnected media, and now we're getting interconnected covers. Like, what's gonna
Mhm.
come next? What are we
When
gonna think
Star
of
Wars
next?
really plans it, guys, when there's a plan, it's so good. It's really so good when it's all planned. But that is April 4th. And coincidentally, on April 4th as well, we're going to do what we did in phase 1. Again, stay with me. All the publishing changes, everything's going to get delayed. But for now, on April 4th as well, we get the next middle grade novel, which is not Quest for the Hidden City, which is wave 1, but we get the Quest for Planet X by Tessa Gratton, who wrote Path of Deceit with
Yes.
Justina Ireland. This is great. Again, no synopsis yet. We know we got Batu on the cover. We know that looks like Rupert Natani, I think.
Yeah.
I would
Potentially
say
looks like,
so.
you know, because Emma, didn't Justina pull, like, Vern was in both Mission to Disaster and, oh my gosh, what was it before that?
Yep. Yeah.
Test of
Out of the
Courage.
Shadows?
Test of Courage, yeah.
Oh,
And she was in Out of the Shadows as well. So Justina,
Indeed.
she kind of carried her and Imri throughout all of her works. So I would say that whoever, I haven't read Path of Deceit yet, but I would say that any of those characters are fair game in Tessa and Justina's work, I would say.
Awesome.
I love this art style too. It's different
Yeah.
and new, and I don't know, something about it is really appealing to me. I would love to see more of this on covers.
I got so
wanna see
excited when
what-
I saw Batu back there.
It looks like
yes.
a show. It looks like a
Yeah.
show. It looks like an animated
Oh,
show. Maybe that's what it
yeah.
is. It looks anime, like anime is what it looks like to me. Like, it could be
Yeah.
anime.
I agree. Yeah, I dig it.
That would be
I
awesome.
would love.
And of
I
course,
would love
I'll-
an anime. Let's just get that out there. An anime set in Batu. Let's just do that.
Oh my
It's got to be
God.
coming. Of course, as a quick reminder, review copies have been going out this morning. We have not talked about it at all in the show. Tales of the Jedi is coming in like 10 days. By the way,
shoot,
if you want
that's
some
right.
more animated Star Wars.
Holy
so
crap.
Dang.
Is that,
Heads
is that
up.
real? 10
That's
days?
real,
Oh my
man.
god.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yep,
forgot
they're all
about
gonna
that.
drop.
Did not. That's not on my radar at all. Holy smokes.
Yeah. The 26th of October, so like technically 9 days
Wow.
or so. But
I actually I
Yeah.
saw the episode lengths come out today. Not to derail us too much, but
No.
yeah, I wouldn't get our like hopes up too much as to what we are getting, because I saw that the episodes range, if I'm remembering correctly, I saw one was only 10 minutes.
oh yeah, they're
then
short.
One
short.
ranged to like 20 minutes. I don't think I knew that.
Ju-
I wasn't at that
Judge
panel,
them by
Yeah.
their size, do you? I mean, the
Wow,
micro
Emma.
series, Gendy's micro series is phenomenal, and they were like 2 or 3
Oh.
That's true.
minutes.
That's true. I always like, we always say, like, manage your expectations. People get all, worked up when, they see like the new Mando is, like 50 minutes, but it's more like, 40 minutes with the credits, and people get angry about that. But,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. I'm just excited to get more animated stuff back.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. We'll of course chat about it on the show as best we can. But there, okay, Corey, you bringing that up reminded me so much. So again, everyone, Disney Plus, stay tuned as we're all crying over Andor. Watch some anime. But finally, to end Wave 2 and to end Phase 2, because as a reminder, Phase 2 is only 2 waves, only 2 waves in the past.
Oh, that's right.
We get what is already one of the most anticipated books because of the freaking cover. Seriously, the art in this wave, I think, is just astonishing. Our very own Kevin Scott, going back to do what he does so well, is writing clearly something horror themed. It's Path of Vengeance, May 2nd. 2 days before May the 4th. It all happens before Celebration London.
Wow.
Look at this freaking cover.
This is also a sick cover.
So good.
I freaked out when I saw this cover. I mean, there's so much stuff to look at in here, and I think this definitely feels like the main thing that is going to lead us into Phase 1. The connective tissue, so to speak, between this phase and then what we already know from Light of the Jedi. I feel like this is going to be almost like I know we don't have a synopsis yet, but almost like a Nihil origin story type of thing. Like, we're seeing them lurking in the shadows, getting almost like if there was a story of how the Final Order started. That's kind of like what this is, but for the High Republic. I feel. I don't know.
That would be nice.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm digging it though. I'm
One day.
excited. One day.
Yeah. Yeah, and as Stephanie's saying in the chat, as those that may be listening on audio, this cover does show the eye symbol of the Nile of
Yeah.
Marchion Ro on the ground. It shows Martyr Ro. It shows the Nameless. Like, this book is giving very classic horror vibes, which Kevin obviously loves. And you make a great point, Emma. This is the book that gets us ready conceivably for Phase 3, to
Mhm.
finally go into the last phase of the High Republic story, to go back to Avar Kriss, to go back to Bel Zettifar, to kind of see what's going on. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Let me pull back. We talked about what it's like to have a YA book start Phase 2. a YA book is also going to end phase 2. How much pressure do you think is on the shoulders of this book to essentially get us back to the modern day and kind of answer all the questions Yoda said would be answered at the end of Midnight Horizon?
A lot. It's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure
Yes.
on a young adult book. Again, with what I said about the opening with the young adult book, I feel like it is a big risk, honestly. You know, I felt like, you know, if I did have a complaint, I guess, about the High Republic in general in phase 1 is that like I felt like we got close with the way that we mixed all the different mediums a little bit, but we didn't quite get to the, I don't know, not quality is not the right word. The high standard, I guess, that we got in like some of the books, it wasn't spread very evenly, I feel like, across all the books. So like, you know, I was hoping we were going to get away from these sort of risk-taking strategies a little bit for phase 2. And we didn't at all. In fact, we doubled down, honestly, on risk-taking stuff. So maybe it'll work better this time. We're gonna see. I'm certainly used to it now. So like, you know, I just know you have to read everything and kind of follow everything. So it's going to be interesting to see if opening and closing with a young adult book works. That's going to be very interesting. And maybe we're supposed to, you know, something else you can think about is maybe we're supposed to go in and out of the phase with a little bit lower stakes. Like maybe phase 2 is lower stakes in general. I mean,
Yeah,
Empire Strikes Back was.
Yeah, right.
In a lot of ways, right? So, you know, you end with a lot of unknowns in Empire Strikes Back. So, you know, I think it's true to the Star Wars tradition. So we'll see how it works.
Right.
I think kind of like, you know, what I said when we were talking about Path of Deceit. I feel like, okay, even though I was wrong the first time, right? Like I was like, oh, you know, they did this to get people, you know, to capitalize on the hype, to read YA. I don't think that worked. I don't have anything to prove it, but I mean,
vibes.
Yeah, vibes, right?
Yeah.
Like, just believe me, you know. However, I feel like maybe if we roll up some really good momentum here, which I feel like we're going to, especially given that cover, I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just going to create enough questions and enough desire to know what happens next to like literally force people to pick up a YA book. Like that is the point we are at this moment. It's like we need to get these YA books into everybody's hands because for some reason people just don't want to do it willingly. It drives me crazy. I don't know if you can tell.
Yep.
But it's I mean, I think that it's an interesting choice. It's hard for me to talk about this as somebody who loves YA books so much because I'm like, oh, of course they would do this. This is great news. but looking at it objectively, I do know that this is a little scary, you know, because it worked so well the way they did it last time. It's like, why
I mean,
fix it if it's not broke? I don't know.
The spectrum of YA books is really wide though, right? I mean, you have YA books like Lost Stars, which are like, if you don't know that they're YA, you don't know that they're YA because it feels like an adult novel. And then you have other YA books who are like
Force Collector.
Really young, Force Collection, really young adults, right? So the age gap is really wide. And sometimes I think it's hard for adults too, as you know, as readers ourselves, to like totally immerse yourself in a book that's written a little too young. So it's very interesting to see this book ending. I hope it works. I hope it works out. I hope we get
that's kind of where we are.
I hope we get 2 Lost Stars. I haven't started the first one myself, so I'm interested to see if
I agree
out.
with that. Like, and even though, you know, I do love YA most of the time, there's definitely a few that fall flat because they do feel a little bit too young. However, it's like we also have to remember that this is like Kevin freaking Scott. So if somebody's gonna do a good job,
that's true.
It's gonna be him. Like, I would trust him to do it. So
our author of the year.
Yeah.
Who owns
Absolutely.
ET? 20 pounds. Solid gold, as we said.
Eric's right.
So as we look at all the phase 2, and again, there's going to be manga in there. There is going to be comics in there. There is going to be a YA anthology that comes out next year as well. We talked about it on last week's show. All kinds of stuff. Just the main books. I'm going to put you all on the spot. Charles, I'm going to start with you. Everything we've talked about coming up in phase 2, what's the project that you're most stoked about?
Oh,
or you're most hopeful about? Either one.
It's a good question. I think probably the one I'm the most interested in, I would say, and this is kind of coming from the other side of the coin of everything that Emma was just saying. I'm biggest into the adult novels. That's just how it was for me. Definitely in phase one. I mean, I loved every adult novel. It was the winner kind of out of each individual wave for me. So I'm going to say the latest adult novel in this series. So I'll say Cataclysm by Lydia Kang. And that's the Yaddle book. So, you know, how could I not choose that? But the one that I'm most hopeful for is actually going to be, it's probably going to be I was going to say George Mann's book, but it's probably going to be George Mann's audio drama. I mean, I have pretty high hopes for this Battle of Jeddah. So those are probably my two answers.
All right, I love that. All right, Corey, how about you? Most excited for and most hopeful?
Yes, I'm most excited for Battle of Jeddah. I just love the audio drama like medium in general. I just love those books. They're fun projects and they're always unique and interesting. And there hasn't been one I haven't liked. Like I still really love Tempest Runner. I think it's one of my favorite books of the first phase. At least it's
sorry.
I thought you didn't mute your mic there for a second. It was pretty good.
Most hopeful. To it, they're like, "What the hell is happening?"
Yeah, I'll get a little meta with the hopeful. I hope that the book ending works. I mean, I think I'm genuinely concerned about that. I hope that pays off. I think it's a huge risk, and I hope it works. So, you know, I think it will be if it does work, it'll be a really, really unique thing to do with this phase. And I hope we don't do it again.
Yeah, right. I hope that we get at least some continuity here. Yes. Emma, how about you?
Yeah, I think, this is a little bit tough, but I think the one I'm most excited for, it's really strange. Okay, bear with me, everybody. But the one I'm most excited for is Path of Vengeance, which I'm like, that's the last one that's coming. But something about that cover got me really excited. And also just thinking about the possibilities of how it's going to connect to phase one and kind of like the so many different ways you can do that. I don't know. I'm excited to see what Cavan Scott does with it because I think he's just gonna knock it out of the park, and I also hope it brings more folks to the YA. You know, we're gonna cross our fingers with that. So yeah, I'm definitely most excited for that. That's also I think the best High Republic cover in my opinion.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's amazing. Excluding like out of print stuff, of course.
Sure.
Yeah. We got to be fair here. And then I think the one that I'm most hopeful for would be, I would say Convergence. I'm a little bit skeptical about it, just because, like we said, like the synopsis it's giving YA a little bit, but I'm hopeful because I think Zoraida's a really great writer, and we've all been wanting to see more from her. So I'm really hopeful for that. I'm also really excited that we're going to follow the main characters, at least for another adult book. And the covers have me so interested as well. So
right.
Yeah, I think those two are my my safe bets there.
Man, love that. I have a lot of shared answers with you folks. So I will say a couple here. My most excited one, I'm actually going to go with Convergence. And I was honestly, because of the couple quotes that Tom tweeted out, it kind of gave me a little bit of Ronin vibes of the prose style of like, this is not usually how these sentences are written. This is not usually how I feel about this. It's a little more visual language. It's a little more flowery in a way. And I'm like, oh, cool. I wonder if Zoraida is really going to be able to go with some interesting flow here and make this a very different romanticized book that is also in the middle of the Forever War. Like, if we're calling this the Forever War, there are some high stakes in that. So I'm very excited to actually see what that means. My most hopeful, I would say Battle of Jeddah. I have zero doubts that's going to be good, though, so I'm not really hopeful. I'm just, like, freaking stoked. Most hopeful, I will say, actually, is A Quest for Planet X is the middle grade by Tessa Gratton, because I have no idea what it's going to be. I see Batu there. I'm hopeful that it won't just be a weird tie, and I'm hopeful that it still matters by that point in the initiative, because I think the middle grades sometimes get shunted to the side as just being, like, retellings of the adults or things like that. But I think there could be something really cool about that book. I like Rupert Natani. I think she's an interesting character, and I really hope that they do something cool with it and make it matter a lot. But at the end of the day, I think this whole phase is really interesting. I think keeping it at 2 waves is smart because, again, I've read Path of Deceit. I'm on Quest for the Hidden City. I'm excited for all these ones. I want to get back and know what's going on with Avar. Like I do, and I'm
Yes.
glad that's going to be next November, is what we've heard. I know we'll obviously find out more at like Celebration London and things like that next year, but these two waves all seem like they're firing on all cylinders. So, it's going to be a good time. But all of you, again, that are following along with us, we're going to bring you all the coverage on the High Republic going forward. Before we get out of here, I just want to do a quick thank you to Emma for joining us tonight. Wes,
Thanks,
has
Emma.
Yeah,
Wes
thanks for
has
having me,
taken
guys.
down-
I love it.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. We love having you on the show. Wes has taken down about 127 animals since last week, so we're excited to bring you all his stories of adventure when he's back on our next episode, which I will say will not be next week. For the first time, possibly in Living Force history, or at least in a heck of a long time, we're taking a week off.
Oh, you guys
Doesn't
deserve
happen
it.
a lot. Thank you. We're officially taking a week. And then we will be back the following week on Halloween. As of this point, tentatively, this is when we'll start talking about Path of Deceit, I believe. Again, subject to change based on scheduling, but y'all get ready for that. That is our intended plan. But next week, take some time, read these books, have a great time. Tell us again in the chat, in the comments, on Twitter, everywhere, what you think about the High Republic. What are you most stoked about? And keep watching Andor. That's still going, right? That's pretty cool. God, that show's awesome. Head over to Bounty Hunt. Check out our commentary on the latest episode of television, which we said was, quote, the best Star Wars TV has ever been. But for now, my friends, that will do it for this week's episode of The Living Force. If you support us on Patreon, thank you so much. Head over to patreon.com/ETN to check out how you can support our thriving community. And a special thank you to Brian Dooley, Patrick Ortiz, Earl Q, Robert Thomas, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council, and Elizabeth Cloutier, Ashley Ingalls, and Sally and Chris Eilerson. Also, Sally, Mom, you hurt your wrist. I hope you're feeling better. Under our Alliance High Command for their amazing support. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Eric Eilerson. Corey is at Corey M. Helton. Charles is at Hankel. Emma is at Irma Jedi 26. And Wes will get his handle back when he is at work. A special thank you to Matt Davenport, our amazing editor, Ryan, our graphic designer extraordinaire, and Wes, our producer and community manager. But Emma this week. Happy High Republic Week to everybody. Make sure you go check out Legends Look Back on the Star Wars Archives for their shows this week. Thank you to Corey, Charles, and Emma for potting with me tonight. Thanks to all of you for watching. And as always, may the Force be with you.